Welcome, everybody. This is January. Happy New Year. So, January, this is our third Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. This is the iBug Android Insight Call. Woo! New year, new Ava. So, welcome everybody. This is the iBug Android Insight Call, where we talk about everything Android, everything that's on the Android platform, from your smartphones, your tablets, your Alexa devices. We even throw in a couple of Braille displays, Braille notes. You know, so long as it works on an Android platform, we are open for discussion. We are a community that supports each other. So, welcome. I am Ava. I am one of your facilitators. And my co-host or co-facilitator is Harshid.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the iBug Android Insight Call, and a happy 2025 as well to you. Really excited that you're here with us, and I'll pass it back to you, Ava. Let's introduce
our we're going to say our permanent member of our iBug Android team is our Zoom host, who's part of hosting with us, is monitoring our background, Julie.
Hi guys, I'm Benedict. Welcome.
Yeah, see, we got to make sure everybody know. Look, all our players here.
For sure.
Yeah,
Julie keeps the meetings going. She keeps all this stuff in the back end. She keeps us in line, keeps me in line. So
yeah, she cracks that whip on us. Okay. Yeah, well, y'all welcome
and Happy New Year, Julie.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, you know, we are hosted by iBug. So, you want to learn about what iBug is about, what iBug is doing, and the other events that iBug hosts? Go to ibugtoday.org, and you will find everything about iBug, as well as information about our Android Insight Call. So if you've missed a show and you want to go back and re-listen to something that we've talked about before, you can always go back through our archives on ibugtoday.org under the iBug Android Insight tab. Hershey, you want to let them know how else?
Yeah, I do. My favorite place. Sorry, I got a little excited there, but YouTube. If you go to YouTube and YouTube type in iBug Today, there's actually a section there you'll find called Playlist and under the tabs. So we actually have all the different tabs. So if you're into your iOS device and you want to learn that today, go for it. Go learn that. If you're wanting to go learn your Pixel and Android phone and re-listen to what we've talked about, you have a whole playlist, about 44 videos, I want to say, so far. So I hope you get to re-listen to some of the old stuff, and easiest way. And one other way you could also connect with us is on our mailing list. So if you type iBug Android Insight, or actually, hold up. Yeah, iBug Android Insight + subscribe at groups.io, you could send us a blank email and then be put on the mailing list. So between now and the next show, every third Wednesday, if you want to ask us a question, that's a way you could connect with us. So, a couple ways.
Yep. And a little bit of housekeeping for iBug. You know, iBug hosts several events during the month, from the iBuzz calls on Monday to the Trekkie calls, to the Vila Book Club. But they also do a movie night.
That's
every
cool.
Friday night. Yes. So.
Oh, sorry, that was the movie name.
No. Go ahead. Yeah.
Was it Wicked?
Okay. Yeah, it's Wicked. Wicked is the movie for Friday night. It is the same Zoom link. So come out and enjoy. The movie starts at 8 o'clock. The pre-show starts at 7:30?
And that's from 19-something, right?
No, 2024.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
It's the updated version, apparently. I'm still a little lost, but hey, I'm good. But come and enjoy that, the pre-call social hour and then the after the movie trivia time and social time. So that is this Friday night will be the movie Wicked 2024.
Ava, you ready to meet them people out there? I think
yes.
I'm ready. Let's just do it.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's meet who we have on the line so far. Please introduce yourself. If you're new to the call, please let us know how you heard about us and what type of Android device you have. All right, so let's open up. And people, please remember, we do not have to raise hands on this call. All we do ask is that we be respectful of each other. When you hear someone talking, just announce your name, and we will either myself or Hershey will recognize you to let you speak. We just ask that everybody please hold down background noise because the calls are being recorded, even if I do stumble over a few words. All right, so let's open up the floor because I saw a new name out there. But let's open up the floor so people can introduce themselves. Let us know who you are, where you're from, and what type of Android device you have. Or if you're new to Android. Hershey, that got quiet real quick.
Yeah, it's January, everyone. Foster's sleeping over there. I see him, Foster. Where's your fold? Did you get any fold?
Hey,
hey, Shay. Hey, I hear Shay back there, too. Hey, how's it going, Shay?
Okay.
I'm John Harden, and Hershey asked me to stop in just to see what's going on. And I'm not an Android user. I'm a diehard Apple guy, but that's, maybe I'm in here to learn something.
Yeah, well, if you have any Alexa devices, you're still in the right place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, you're still in the right place.
And thank you so much, John. Welcome to the show. Like I said, there might be something that we all might learn from each other, or what are some similarities and differences between the platforms. And I think any input is always good input. Doesn't matter what side we prefer, as long as it gives us accessibility. So thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yes.
Thank you.
My name is Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
Bonnie.
Hi,
Bonnie.
And I am from Spokane, Washington. I also use Apple, but we use Alexa all the time, but I also have a Braille Sense. So I'm actually joining because Braille Sense is Android. So
yes.
I guess I need to learn how to use both Apple and Android.
Okay. Well, welcome in.
Thank you so much. Yes, welcome. Brand new. There's a couple new people here. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Right. And this is Foster.
Go ahead, Foster.
From Houston.
Happy New Year.
And I got a new Android device, Ava.
What?
Lenovo Tab Lenovo Tab M9. The Nook Edition, or the Nova Nook Edition.
Okay.
So this is a perfect
this is going to be interesting conversations between what platforms are which now. I mean, thank you for bringing that up by Nooks, because are some Windows-based, are some Android-based? And
right.
So perfect timing.
Yeah, this one's Android. This one's Android based.
Excellent.
All right.
So some Qualcomm, I'll probably chip in there, but we'll talk some more, sir.
Yep.
Welcome. Thank you so much. And anybody else want to introduce themselves and let us know where you're coming in from, please?
Yeah, Susan Matter here from Springfield, Virginia.
Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad. How you doing?
So what kind of phone do you use again?
Me, I have an Apple.
Okay.
Sue has an Android Samsung.
Got it. Okay. Well, welcome to both of y'all, and thank you so much for joining this evening.
This is Shelly from Seattle.
Hey, Shay, welcome.
Hi. Thank you. I know, Bonnie, I'm so tickled that you're on the call.
You know what?
I have,
go ahead.
Yeah?
Well, it's interesting. I was re-listening to the episode from last month. Shay, sorry to interrupt you again there. But we were talking about ideas from last month, so we might have to talk about some of those ideas and think about what were we talking about of what can be some new ideas, some new topics. So we'd love to hear some new things that you think that would be useful for others to learn from. But go ahead, what devices did you say you had?
Oh, I have a Samsung Galaxy A32, which I think the charging point port is petering out on me, so I might need some suggestions for a new phone. I go through T-Mobile. At home, we have a lot of Google and Miss A devices. I've got a new Dell laptop and a Samsung tablet. And a smart speaker bulb that plays music and flashes colors. I think that's one of my favorite things.
All right. Sounds fun. Awesome. Thank you. A little bit of everything there.
Yeah.
Anybody else would like to introduce themselves?
Well, I guess it's my turn.
Okay.
This is Quentin. I'm here in Houston. I have a lot of Android toys. The A-Lady. I have a Z Fold 5 right now. Kind of looking at something else, but smartwatch, tablets. So.
Well, Quentin, welcome so much. Happy New Year to you, sir, and hope
Happy New Year to you,
best of health
Hershey.
and everything. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's going to be some interesting learnings that we're going to have to be able to share from each other here. A lot of, y'all got me thrilled with ideas here. Thank you. Anyone else want to introduce themselves? All right, I guess if we want to jump into questions right away, then Ava, since everybody's a little quiet today.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and open up the floor to any question, comments. Don't be shy.
All right, so this is Foster.
Go ahead, Foster.
So, Hershey, I'm going to get the party going.
Thank you.
Does anybody use any other web browser on their phone besides Chrome? Edge, Firefox, Opera. Anybody use any other web browser besides Chrome?
This is Quentin. I do sometimes. I'll use Firefox or well, no, I don't use the Samsung internet browser thing anymore ever. That thing is garbage. But usually Firefox.
Usually Firefox.
Yeah, if I don't use Chrome, sometimes using Chrome. Well, two things. With Firefox, you can now use Dark Reader, the plugin, on your phone with the app.
So what is that? What is Dark Reader?
If no one knows about Dark Reader is a browser extension for all of them that you can put in that will basically turn any and every website in dark mode. You can change the contrast. You can change. Oh, I'm sorry. You can change different aspects through it when you view websites. I've been using that for years now. So,
so what I'm gathering for low vision users, a definite useful plugin to have for any
yes,
browser.
It is a useful plugin to have for any of us.
Quick side note, if I may ask, can you define what garbage means?
It does not play nice when you need it to do whatever it is you're wanting to do. It's just clunky.
It's not heavy. Yeah, it's not good. It's not like for a web browser. Like if say you're a heavy user, if you use do video shopping, it's kind of just real basic. Like it can't really handle
Interesting.
A lot.
Much.
It loads slow sometimes, and it doesn't. It actually it does and it doesn't play well with Talkback. So, once you get to a page, like it does okay like any other, but sometimes, you're sitting there trying to navigate and it doesn't want to do it.
Well, you brought up a couple good points, but that's the browser that I prefer using. That's the funny part.
Really?
That's why I'm laughing at. The Samsung Internet browser. So that's why I'm laughing at. The reason is for me, and it's funny for the reason is for the dark mode, because Chrome. Anytime I switch even to use color inversion, Chrome will let's say if I have a bunch of form fields filled out in some kind of website, it will reset, and I think that's pain in the rear to mess up my workflow, essentially.
True.
I'm filling out something, maybe I use my keyboard, fine, it's external, fine, but something just makes you stumble upon it, and it's easy on the eyes, it's not jolting with having dark mode already enabled within the browser itself. Sharing links, I do that way often. I mean, in here, iBug today /Zoom, I was able to send it to John, but that was done through the internet browser, as they call it, from Samsung. Aside from that, I guess since I've been using more Samsung devices, Chrome would be my lean on to. But are we giving up our information to, say, a Brave or even Microsoft with Edge, Opera, et cetera, and this also kind of goes on what is versatile. We have iPhone users in here as well, but what's versatile to use on both platforms where you don't have to worry if you, let's say, had an iPhone and an Android and a Windows machine?
I mean, in that case,
Firefox. It works well with all of them.
Right. Yeah. So I'm a junk for gadgets. So yeah, Firefox works well across all platforms. Chrome works pretty well on iPhone too.
I do hear it has.
But does Firefox work well on iPhone?
Yes.
Okay. So
it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So stability is there. So, it's not like they haven't wasted that.
Right. The only thing about Firefox is it's because it's still free, and it's like a geek type thing that where they they keep it updated and everything's fluid. Like when you log into Firefox on one device, it'll sync across all your devices, so you can pretty much pick up where you left off if you switch from one device to another device.
Good note to keep. So fluidity is there. If you have to stray away or outside of your Google Chrome or iOS Safari type of.
This is John.
Go ahead, John.
I'm just wondering how well does Microsoft Edge work on Android? Because I know there's some features I'm curious about, like the immersive reader.
So on the immersive reader, on the
Foster.
Edge,
go ahead, Foster.
Yeah. So like the immersive reader, which Chrome they call it, what is it? Simple Read or something like that.
Simplified reading?
Yeah, simplified reading, something like that.
Okay.
I find the Edge actually works on more pages, and it's easier for me to use it, and then the read aloud features, built right into Edge. So then, I don't have to turn on like Talkback and then like that. I can just use the read aloud feature that's built into Microsoft Edge, and then adjust, the speed, the pitch, the voice, whatever I want to use.
Right.
So I like to use that one a lot.
Thank you. And go ahead, Kevin. You wanted to have some input here?
I use Edge sometime with Talkback. Of course, never visually. There's not a lot of difference as far as how smooth it works with Talkback, since it's Chromium based for the most part. There are some differences in the way that you do certain things, like having to go into the menu to launch the read aloud feature, whereas with Google, you can just say, give it the command and say read aloud or read, even if you don't use the read mode, which you can launch by swiping up with 3 fingers. So, but the most of the stuff works just fine. I still just always switch it to Chrome, even on my work phone where Edge is preferred, but I still always switch it to Chrome because everything syncs across everything, and I use Google for everything. So
Thank you for that input. And I guess, yeah, that makes sense. It depends on what camp you're in. If you're a Microsoft camp at your work, Edge might not be a terrible thing because you already are working with Outlook and Calendar and such. That on the other side with Google, if you're the products, I think I'm probably more lenient, but really good inputs there. Anybody else want to have any last say or some insight in there? All right. Well, I guess we'll just move on. That's just quite interesting about browsers altogether. It just depends what works best at the end of the day. And then one thing I know from that conversation there is we separating what reader mode is. Reader mode is actually a standalone. You could go to the Play Store and download reading mode and have it read websites that way. So you could set whatever gesture or go through the application itself or go through that section under accessibility and set it to either have the volume up and down held as a shortcut or, as Kevin said, swiping 3 fingers up. You could customize as you're liking. And a lot of this stuff to kind of give people that are iPhone users, if you go to commands on iPhone under VoiceOver, a lot of customized gestures under Talkback is the very same thing. So using those finger gestures once set, so let's just say if swiping with 3 fingers from bottom up does play pause. When you go and hit and tap on your screen with 4 fingers, that's as a default the tutorial or a scratch pad of how you could practice your gestures. So you could know if you've changed your gestures, what each gesture does, and kind of practice and go through that tutorial. So just a little quick help if anybody's brand new to the Android side or wants to figure out, hey, what gestures are similar or different? Can I play pause music with tapping with 2 fingers? Stuff like that. So any other questions, thoughts, please let us know. Keep them coming. Thank you so much.
John.
Go ahead.
And with the Android, how do you turn Talkback on and off? Or is it different on different make phones?
Okay. Beautiful question, and thank you so much. And so we'll give you the iBug Android Insight treatment. So the audience usually helps us figure this out. So I'm just your host here. So audience and friends, what do you guys think? How do you turn on Talkback and off?
This is Kevin.
Go ahead, Kevin.
You just hold down the volume up and volume down. It doesn't matter the phone or the manufacturer. You hold it down to both volume down. Hold it down for if you're using it for the first time, you hold it down and it'll tell you to release it and then hold it down for 3 seconds. That's the first time. But if you just want to turn it off because you're going to hand your phone to somebody else, or some of us keep our phone in hide screen mode, or what y'all call the curtain or whatever. But anyway, we leave it like that. So, but if you turn Talkback off, then the screen can come on if you need to show it to a shopper or somebody like that. So, but yeah.
So when you turn Talkback off, the screen curtain or hide screen goes so a sighted person could see it, right?
Yes, you just have to.
And you hold both keys.
Yes.
If you do it for the second, third time, you just hold it for the 3 seconds with one time.
Yeah, it's
just the first time you do a double.
Yeah, the rest of the time, like if you have a Pixel or something like that, Google is the fastest. But if you have a Pixel, it's like 1 second after that, 1 to 2 seconds to turn it on or turn it off. It's really quick. For some reason, there's a bit of a delay on Samsung devices. For some reason, I'm not sure why. But I don't notice it as much on Pixel at all. But Pixel or Motorola or any of those other ones, I don't have that same delay.
This is Quentin.
Go ahead, Quentin.
Samsung now, I don't know if they put it in their little update that came out last month or whatever. It's a little faster. It's more the 1 to 2 instead of about the 2 to 3 when you press and hold the volume keys. But you can also, and I know many people don't like Bixby, but you can, press and hold the side key and, tell it to turn Talkback on or Talkback off, either way. Anytime you do that, though, when you tell it to turn Talkback on, it's going to tell you that it can do that, but it's going to ask you basically for another confirmation to do that. So you just tell it yes, and then it turns on and you're good. And then when you want to turn it off, you just press and hold the side key and tell it to turn it off, and it's done. So it's just another way to do it.
This is Kevin. I have a question. So they made it start doing, because at first with Bixby you could turn it off and on without the confirmation. They took the confirmation away, so they brought the confirmation back.
Yes, that I've had to do the confirmation for a while now. I can't even
took it away for a while.
Yeah, they had taken it away, and I know I kind of was happy about it until one day, I went to turn it on and I thought it was on, so I wasn't paying attention, and yeah. But it's just a voice. It actually does, when you press and hold, you tell it, turn on Talkback, then it goes, okay, I can do that or something like that. And then it'll beep. It didn't used to beep, but it beeped for me. So that's how I knew to say yes.
Right.
And then you get the message, okay, Talkback is now on, and then go. So, and it does it on my phone, my tablet's the same way. My watch, actually, my watch too.
And on the watch, thanks for bringing that up. Let's just talk about how do you turn on Talkback in general. How do you get that screen reader on? So on the watch, you could hold sometimes 2 fingers on the screen. Sometimes it may take quite some time, like if you had a Fossil watch or this, that, and the other. It may take some time. If not, if there's a button, like a power button or another button corresponding to it, typically the 3 times tapping it would bring on something. That's just, let's say, the watch. Going back to Samsung and your Pixel that Kevin alluded to earlier, Pixels, yes, hold down both volume keys for 3 to let's just call it 3 to 5 seconds to be on the safe side, but it's probably shorter now. 1 to 3 seconds is what we're hearing. And to, let's say, match up an iPhone. On iPhone, if you add, when you hit your 3 taps or 3 taps on your power button, if you add, let's say, voice over magnification and something else, you will have to pick when you want to turn that said thing on and off. So if you have magnification, voiceover, and invert colors, you have to pick through that menu. It just doesn't turn on voiceover on or off right away. So on Samsung, they have something similarly called Direct Connect or Direct something. Excuse me, I don't remember the second word, but Direct key pattern. And what they use is volume up and power. If you press volume up and power, you could set the Samsung Talkback to that volume up and power, so then Talkback will turn on instantaneously on or off by toggling off.
I like that.
Off. So there is a button toggle with having physical buttons to toggle it. If I wanted to use the volume up and volume down, I could set that to, let's say, if I'm low vision, color inversion. I could set it to reading mode. If you're on a website, you want to read that website, hold the volume up and volume down together, customize that as your gesture or your thing to toggle it, trigger it. And so you could customize that. And for Pixel, they don't have the 2 menus, whereas on Samsung, you could either use your volume up and down or volume up and power as shortcuts. You can also use different tools like Good Lock on the Samsung side to then get back your Google Assistant. You may also, I haven't done it yet, but change your Google Assistant to Gemini so you could talk to your phone more easily that way. Between the assistants, there's Bixby on Samsung, but then Bixby is not available on Pixels. So Gemini Assistant is available on all devices, including iPhones, I would say. But it's not the other way around where Bixby is available on all the other ones. So depending on what assistant you're using, I just try to ask my Google Assistant to turn on Talkback. It says it's not installed. So it's thinking about the Google Talkback rather than the Samsung Talkback. So it's not going to turn it on by voice. However, if I had Bixby installed, it will work and toggle it on. So just a couple differences for people to get some know-how about it, because it does get confusing which brand does what and how. Samsung's the only one that has, let's say, the 2 extra shortcuts. Rest of them, Motorola, Pixel, Sony, they have the hold the volume up, volume down, and the screen reader turns on.
This is
Foster.
Go ahead, Kevin, and then we'll get to you, Foster.
I just wanted to say that if Samsung, if as long as you have an internet connection, the reason that I went to the holding the volume up and volume down is because if you've never set up your phone and you've not connected it to the internet, you can't use the assistant. That's supposed to be changing to where you can give it local commands. But anyway, you can also hold down the home key or just say okay or hey G and turn on Talkback and turn it off that way. But that is supposed to work on Samsung phones. It's not supposed to be saying Talkback is not installed anymore, because it's not doing that on my Samsung devices. It's turning it on or off without any kind of confirmation with the assistant.
Interesting. Well, good notes to take. I'll reach back out to you on the list or something. Maybe.
And just for the watch, yes, the three taps does work if you've never set it up. But if you set your watch up and it notices that you are using an accessibility feature on your phone when you're setting it up, it will prompt you to turn on Talkback from your phone. You won't have to, and it'll tell you what the
excellent point.
What the command is to turn it on and off on your watch. But
So
it'll
you
ask you, do you want
watch? You could just set up from your phone. If your phone is already using Talkback, you don't have to worry about your watch not having that screen reader to work, right? Just set up from the phone. Everything gets set up how you like it, and then you just get on move with your day, right?
Yeah,
for the most part.
And go ahead, Foster. You had something to say as well, sir?
Yeah, so, I'm primarily low vision. So what I do is I use the accessibility shortcut.
That's good.
Oh, the little guy in the corner.
Yeah, he's good.
I use that. So I have the only two things I have on it now are Talkback and Select to Speak. But what I noticed is I can put more things on the accessibility shortcut on the Pixel phone than I can on the Samsung. But I like to use the accessibility shortcut because sometimes I'll even put the accessibility menu where it pops up like with the big buttons, so you can, hit volume up, volume down, lock screen, home screen, like that. Sometimes I'll add that to it, but right now I just use, those are my primary two, are Select to Speak and Talkback. So I use those two.
And it's great adventures through this whole journey. I mean, I've been using Android since about 2012 or 13, but going from just using larger fonts to color inversion to just using Talkback alone, and how quickly one thing needs to turn on and off. I mean, having that simple, volume up and power and Talkback is on or off, pass the phone along. Or if you also voiceover users do this too, where you turn off speech, but voiceover is still running. So you could always have that as well as your shortcut. Or a gesture, which my gesture for that is swiping with one finger left and then down and in one swoop. So that turns off my speech, but you could set it to whatever you like. So if you just wanted to not talk, you could also use two fingers and triple tap and hold, I want to say. And to me, two finger triple tap holding feels like gymnastics a little bit. So I just use one finger and set it to swipe right or left and down. So. Any more thoughts?
Hi.
Go ahead.
This is Susan.
Hey, Susan.
Foster, that was really good what you just said, because I was going to say it too about the accessibility shortcut. Because for the longest time for Talkback for my phone, my husband Matt here, he would set me up on Talkback, and then sometimes he'd have to do something with my phone, and then he'd forget to turn it back on, and I'd be like so lost. But then like last year in this conversation we had probably last year, like 3 months ago, you guys talked about how to use the controls on the side of the Samsung phone to turn it on and turn it off. And that was a great help. And then, one day how I found the shortcut, I was just, scrolling through the accessibility line of, I guess, the
menu.
The main menu. And I came across it, and then I put it on my tablet. And so now, because it was hard with my tablet to turn on Talkback on and off, and I was like, so that shortcut really does help with my tablet. So
excellent. Well, I'm really happy to hear that, Susan. That's really great.
Quentin.
Go ahead, Quentin.
Also, the other button gestures can stack as well. So if you do, like I do, mute all sounds, which is kind of similar to what you're saying, like with the iPhone users, where you can turn off. It kind of turns off everything. It just mutes it, but it does turn TalkBack off in the sense that people, it's not, you don't have to swipe or, use any of the gestures.
Would you say, is it like a hidden switch?
It's kind of a hidden switch,
like a switch,
it just turns it off. But if I remember correctly, the default was the volume up and side key would turn it on and off, or you would have to designate that for that. But you can also designate other, like more gestures for, the volume up and side key, the volume down and side key, the side key itself, to where, just like the little guy in the corner, as we call him, you can have multiple actions connected to it. I just don't know the cap because I've never had to go that high. So I have no idea how many you can do on any of them. I usually just stick to the magnification.
Well, and then that's the interesting points that you've all brought up to the table, because we've all come from different parts of different journeys, and sometimes you might have a different device. But how do you get along with, say, if you need a screen reader, how do you get it turned on? Even if I had to just turn on my magnification or any other setting for that matter, how can I get that said thing done? Like triple tapping with one finger on the Android side turns on my magnification, so I could then pinch in and pinch out with my fingers. Not as useful these days. Talkback is a little bit more my jam, but not to say that it isn't useful. When I really, really needed to look at, say, a photo or something specific, it could be useful. So, really great points, and thank you, John, again for that question. And so, John, could you let us know what kind of technologies, or what are your interests, or what do you do as a living?
Well, of course, I've got Lady A.
Okay.
Actually, I can say her name because she's in the other room. The one in this room where I am is called the Z word.
Right.
If I say that, she'll beep at me.
See, but Ava's will go off then, yeah. So
yeah, I have the brilliant Braille display, and I also have. Florida gives out the ZoomX e-reader.
Correct.
So, and I have a Victor Reader Stream, a Mac, a MacBook Air laptop, and the iPhone. What else? That's pretty much everything.
Well, what's interesting,
I still do have a Windows computer that I never turn on.
Because what I wanted to kind of allude to the point here is, it's a bunch of different tech, but the tech that works for you, right? And granted, you're using your Mac and your MacBook Pro or Air, etc. It's what works for you for your accessibility needs. And as far as when Braille comes to you, I mean, this one little discussion maybe I've been thinking about and I had earlier today is some of these manufacturers are either going to drop Android or opt out and try to maybe use Microsoft or something different. And or you have this expensive device and then you get stuck and you don't have support for it. So what is potentially the audience and your thought, John, as well, let's say, does Android really mean something important to you all to say, hey, if it does the trick and if it is stable, I'm cool with it? Or I like to go back because I know Windows better and I'm more a Windows kind of person. So where does everybody sit on that discussion there?
Well, I think... Go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, they all have their place. One will do something better than the other, maybe, and it's hard to say, Apple's the only way to go because that isn't true. Windows isn't the only. Android isn't the only. Each one of us has what works for us, but if we had to change. It could. I not too long ago counted, if you count the Victor Reader as having an operating system, there's 7 different operating systems I try to keep up with.
Wow. Yeah, well, I would say the Victor would be maybe an Android type device because I'm thinking about the Blaze. The Blaze was essentially just like an Android device with a number pad on it. Similar styles of devices.
I don't know the Blaze,
but similar a reader or a recorder essentially.
Yeah, okay.
With maybe some Wi-Fi capabilities and a little speaker recorder kind of thing like that.
Right.
HIMS made that, whereas a Victor reader is humanware.
Correct.
So at the end of the day, is manufacturing and this, that, and the other. And Foster, you had some input, please. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So, so for example, when it comes to work, and Kevin I think he brought something up to this effect. At work, I work for the government, so it's all Microsoft. So I use Microsoft. Matter of fact, I just got a new computer with 32 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes storage. But because of all the security that they put on the network, guess what? The computer still runs slow. So even though I have Zoom text, the Zoom text still runs slow because of all the security on it. So it actually,
and
I'm not as proficient. I'm not as quick as I could be because of the network holding me back. But
right.
I use Zoom text, so Zoom text has this series of commands.
Right.
I use on the other. Sometimes I have to use another PC because we have some administrative stuff that we have to do. Well, there's not Zoom text on that one, so then I use the Windows Magnifier. Right. Yeah. So you become accustomed, especially like for me, this has been a life journey for me with low vision. So you become accustomed
it's these
to learning these
crossroads.
various systems.
It's these little crossroads that I'm seeing, and as you're pointing it out, and John has pointed out, I really think, let's say if we're talking Microsoft and that kind of stuff, I know this is an Android call, but if we're just talking that for a quick second, Mac is winning in there because there's more applications for people to use. If we're talking about Android and what do they have, well, they have almost tick for tack on iOS as far as most of the big apps are concerned. However, the development is still heavier on the side of Apple. But again, if we show need, the needs kind of come back into perspective. Because these YouTube right now, if we stream to YouTube, these little devices, encoders and stuff, they're based on Android backends. And AWS and all of that, it kind of has an Android backend to a certain degree. However, I'm looking for that accessibility tool, right? What is going to give me something, even if I'm using a remote device, give me a screen reader? What's going to launch Talkback? How am I going to work through a hard position that I might be in? So, all these tools, again, they work for whatever they're needed at, but it's not like you can't have a Google Assistant in your home and still have an Apple device. You could still hook it up to your HomeKit and other things and still have, the availability to control your thermostat and other things. So just note that I want to kind of allude to that there's what works, and how it works is putting input and giving feedback, right? Because if something doesn't work for accessibility needs, if we don't complain, then they're not going to know. One quick way that I do it, g.co/disability support, file a ticket with Google, even if it's Samsung related. Use Be My Eyes, works really, really well. We talked about Microsoft, we talked about Apple and Google. You could reach all of them through Be My Eyes, I want to say. So just some quick apps and tools, but go ahead with anybody else wants to ask thoughts.
One thing I've learned.
Go
ahead.
I just had a question. So for my Samsung users, anybody that uses DeX, are you able to use DeX? Are you able to use Talkback when you're using DeX?
Anybody have any experience with using DeX?
What's DeX?
Okay, yeah, I figured that was going to be the next question. What's next?
I'll give you the short version of DeX is it gives you almost like a Windows based setup on a tablet or an external screen. You can either do it wired up to your TV or you could cast it from your Samsung phone or Samsung tablet to another TV.
So I haven't had time to read up on this really in depth, but I've heard maybe DeX might be going away completely, and they might just opt in for Link PC, which is the connectivity between a PC and an Android device. So you're basically mirroring your phone. Now, here's two things I look at. If I'm using my PC, I might be using JAWS with Fusion or any of that, or Narrator or NVDA. If I'm using my phone while I'm still mirrored, per se, then I would be using Talkback, but that would be off of the phone. So the only part I could think of delay is in transmission, but I don't see that delay per se. I haven't used it in a while. I haven't used PC Link because that is, or Link to PC as a brand new thing that they have. However, they might be deprecating the DeX thing, which is Samsung's version of having a connectivity between basically PC and phone or tablet and set thing.
This is Quentin.
Go ahead, Quentin.
I've used them both, DeX and the PC Link. DeX, like you said, it does work similar, especially if you connect it with your PC. It does actually work similar to the PC Link. You can use Talkback on your phone. I won't say it's hit or miss, but it does work sorta. At least definitely still on your device, however you do it. Like I've did like a cast to a TV, and it actually did pretty good, except for when the display changes to accommodate. There's some missing elements. Buttons aren't labeled. The remote kind of isn't very good. So it is kind of stuff like that. But when you connect, to your PC through DeX, it actually works pretty well.
It worked well. It was a good product, but
yeah,
I just heard the word deprecate somewhere.
But now PC Link works really good, and like you said, you'll have Talkback on your phone, but you're using whatever your screen reader on your PC, so it kind of...
So you are getting that accessibility need solved.
Either way, so you really don't necessarily have to worry too much about it. Because with PC Link, once you connect it, then you're on your PC to navigate your phone anyway. So you don't have to worry about that. And you can make your phone calls and everything else. It's actually really nice.
Pretty nifty tool, yeah. Thank you for the question there.
This is Kevin.
1 second, Kevin. John had something to say, and then I'll come to you, Kevin. Go ahead, John.
What I was thinking, you had said with the Android, you can use your up volume and side button to turn on and off Talkback, let's say. The bottom or your volume down and side button you could use to turn on magnification. Is that
okay? So
is that what you were saying?
I'll clarify that. So if you're on your Samsung device, the volume up and the power button, you could put in either Talkback, or if you start stacking them up, so magnification, volume up, Talkback, magnification, color inversion, and reading mode. Let's say if you have 4 things that you want to select from, that makes it a list. So then VoiceOver, like you would do the triple power button, triple tap, VoiceOver would be only turned on or off if VoiceOver was the only item selected there. So on the Samsung side, you could use volume up and volume down as a secondary box of tools. So if you're trying to turn on, let's say, reading mode or color inversion, or what I just alluded to, the 4 items there, magnification, those kind of things, you could set 2 different shortcuts to toggle those things on.
What I was thinking of is having a shortcut to turn the pairing of my phone with my hearing aid.
Oh,
interesting.
There are times when the hearing aid and the phone just don't communicate well. And if I could go in and turn the hearing aid off, they'd still work as hearing aids.
You know what?
But wouldn't be connected to the phone. That would be almost a game changer.
I will get back to you that maybe on Saturday, whenever I see you at the Halifax Council meeting. But
so let me
go ahead.
So let me understand. So So your hearing aids are Bluetooth as well, correct?
Yes. So turning off Bluetooth would, of course, turn off the hearing aids, but it would also turn off the Meta glasses or the AirPods.
Okay, so you don't. Do you have some sight, John?
No.
No. Okay. So what you can do though is you can go to the Bluetooth menu and then just like let's say your what you call it, your hearing aids are connected.
Oh
yeah.
You can just go into the Bluetooth menu and tap the hearing aid, and it'll turn the hearing aid off. All your other devices will remain connected.
That's true. But if you're on the bus and a phone call comes in and the phone is paired with the hearing aids, the bus noise is louder than anything else, and it's just totally useless.
Right.
There wouldn't be a way for me to get to the menu, the Bluetooth menu, to turn hearing aid off.
Right. This is Hershey, by the way, and one thing where I was going with it in my mind is, so basically there are 3 buttons, right? Power, up, down, volume. 3 buttons that I could think of. How do we use those buttons to make something work for us? And there is hearing aid menus. I have not used them, but not to say that I can't go under there and check out what's in there. And
there's nothing in there. I've already checked.
So it doesn't toggle on and off something.
No.
But you're using an iPhone, right?
Correct. And you don't get the choice of volume up or volume down.
Right, it's just
to give
3 times taps or whatever.
Yeah,
right.
So he's gonna have to ask that question at the.
That's what I was gonna say. You probably want to go to the iBuzz call on Monday. Yeah, the iBuzz call
might have
on
some
Monday
input for you on that call. On any side, though, even on the Android side, how would we turn on a hearing aid? The practical problem is still the same.
Yeah, so the thing of it is so that's another thing, too, is because I'm about shortcuts, too. So the thing of it is, depending on the device, you could, and I know you can do it on Pixel, you could program.
Shortcuts like?
You can set a shortcut to turn off and turn on certain things. And sometimes you can program it with a gesture.
Right.
The OnePlus phone that I had, you could actually, they had more ways to do shortcuts than even
right. And was that Sue that was saying something, or
this is Bonnie.
Oh, Bonnie, go ahead, Bonnie. Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted.
No, no problem.
Anyway, I just wanted to say I actually have a little flip phone that is Android, and I wear hearing aids as well. Mm-hmm. And my hearing aids will come, they'll for no reason at all. They'll disconnect. They'll completely come unimpaired. Mm-hmm. And I will go in and turn on the Bluetooth on the flip phone. And even that sometimes doesn't work. And the only way I can get them to pair again is to put the hearing aids back into the box, turn on the phone,
yes,
and then turn everything on again, and they will pair. But I don't understand why they all of a sudden will not. They just disconnect for some reason.
I have that same problem with a couple of cheaper model headsets that I have. They like there's a what is it? A skull candy.
Yep.
Skull candies.
Yeah.
It could be again a cheaper chip in there for Bluetooth connectivity, or even the version of Bluetooth. Sometimes that could be an issue. But Kevin, you had some insight from previous conversation, or you had some? Still remember what you're saying? Or wanted to say?
Oh. I don't remember. But the answer to his other question was about pressing the volume down.
Yeah.
And the power key that doesn't
That's
work.
Screenshot.
That's screenshot.
Which I'm sure you could probably change.
Well, remember,
you can't change it to be accessibility. You could change it to take a picture or whatever, but you can't change it to be anything that has to do with accessibility.
Got it.
But you got to remember too, you can press and hold, or you quick press. So like with the screenshot, when you press it, it's
if you
quick.
press and hold,
you're not
volume
hold,
down and power, you go that's how you power down and start, right?
Yeah, you got to remember that.
Yeah, thank you for that point. Because Samsung phones, that's how you power down a
shut
Samsung
your phone down. Yeah, you don't press and hold the side key. You got to do volume down and the side key. That's why they kind of stopped calling it the power button, because it's not really a power button.
Right. And then Pixel.
But it works with the.
How do you turn off a Pixel, guys? Holding down.
Pixel. Why would you want to turn it off? Oh, the power button and volume up.
Okay, so volume up and power button on a Pixel, volume down and power button on a Samsung.
Yeah.
To get to the power menu.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Ava, and on the hearing aid issue, at least on Samsung phones, you can go under accessibility and you can go under hearing mode. Go down the list, and there are settings in there, and especially settings for ambient sound that you can turn on. So people with hearing aids, there are options in there that will help with reducing the ambient sound or magnifying it, as well as muting and everything. So at least under the Samsung phones, under accessibility, under hearing mode, you have a lot of options up under there that could help deal with some of the issues John was bringing up.
By the way, did Shay said she wanted to go shopping? Somebody want to go shopping? Anybody want to go shopping? Pixel phones, right? We were looking for new devices earlier. Shay mentioned that her phone was getting to a point with her speakers and stuff like that. But one quick point as we were talking about these devices, if you're a screen reader user, I would highly suggest go ahead and get a Pixel phone. The cheaper device you could get at this point would be like a Pixel 8a, which happens to be roughly around the $350 to $499 mark.
Hey, hang on, Hershey. Sure. I hear some background noise.
I think it's a clock.
It's the clock going off.
It went off.
I'm sorry, you guys. That's my clock.
Okay.
It's just saying it's 7 o'clock or whatever it is here. 6 o'clock.
All right. So, next question, I guess. Anybody have a next question, concern?
Yeah, this is Foster. I was just looking on the under the menu for the hearing. Hearing. So it says hearing devices. So you have options. So here you actually have and I'm on a Pixel 7 Pro. So you have an option for a hearing device shortcut. What else we got here? We got hearing aid compatibility, improved compatibility with telecoils, and reduces unwanted noise. So that's kind of like what Ava was talking about, which I guess would have to do with ambient noise. So
there's some little tools and gems. I mean, under everyone's hood, Samsung has some cool hearing stuff. Pixel definitely has some cool hearing stuff. Apple has some cool hearing stuff. So, but still, we haven't solved the problem because both Bonnie and John have mentioned the issues that they've with connectivity, and it's still, I guess, a research being done in that process of it, because now we have over-the-counter hearing aids as well, and for anyone that is deafblind and stuff like that, we just want things that work. And I would say, at least for the need, if you are on the Android side, the need is going to be met with a screen reader with some hearing impaired or hearing loss tools for what you need. So you are covered on both sides. And the reason why I was bringing up the phone earlier and just Pixel and stuff, screen reader wise, Pixel gives you Talkback in a cycle of its own. So every update is on its own little cycle, whereas the operating system might be on Android 12, 13, 14, etc. Right now, the stable version is Android 15, but 16 is in beta. And so we look at it this way from the standpoint of what's going to be up to date. Pixels are the most up to date device. Samsung comes in second with the Talkback doesn't get up to date right away, but eventually gets there. And right now we're on Android 14 on the Samsung devices as a stable. So just a couple little differences of how fast one moves to the other. And most phones that just have Android, like a Motorola and stuff, they're great. The only downside is sometimes they only have one operating system or two, whereas Pixel is 7 years. So a Pixel 9 is going to be supported for 7 years from this point on. And a Samsung, I think, is about 5 to 7 as well. So your money spent well, at least in that mindset, for about $450, $500. You could get your Pixel and get all the tools that you need. But anybody else have questions or thoughts on that, please feel free to ask.
I have a question.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, man.
Go ahead.
Well, I just have a quick question about Talkback.
Sure.
Is there some kind of a website where you can get all the commands to use Talkback?
Sure. We could reverse what I was saying earlier. What helps you learn with anything like Talkback, or what are you a visual learner? Do you like to just see like 1 equals 2 and you're just 1 + 1 and then you've seen the answer is 2? Like, I'm trying to figure out how do you learn, because I could then give you a better answer.
Okay. I would learn by having a list. I would have a list. That's how I learn the best. Is to go step 1, step 2, step 2. Or if there's a list, that would be very helpful to refer back to.
Okay. There are a couple different mannerisms here, but I'm going to give it back to the audience here. Maybe Kevin or some of the others might have a better way of how they track a list of gestures or how to learn Talkback. So, guys, you have any other input or insights? You can give them a spot.
This is Kevin.
Go ahead, Kevin.
There is a Google managed website that has the Talkback commands listed. I would say, so they have them, and the way that they're listed, because there's so many and so many things that you can do, they're in these like collapsed menus, so you have to choose what you're trying to do. Like there might be a section for reading, and then there might be a section for this and for that. And for some people, it can be a little overwhelming without context. So that's where something like the Android users group or whatever, like the YouTubes that they do, where they do these spotlights on certain parts, that's where they're a little more helpful, because I don't know. I don't think I would learn well from just like a list. But like my students always ask me, like, do you just have a total list of all the JAWS commands? You're never going to learn JAWS that way, like without some kind of context, without some kind of benefit. But the way that the Talkback commands are structured, like it's even hard for me to develop like the guide sheets that I have for my students. It's hard for me to get them all and capture them all, because they're updating them. And like I said, they're in these collapsed menus. And so if you don't go through and hit every one just right, you might miss some commands along the way. And then on top of that, all of them are customizable. So it really doesn't matter what, what they say, you can go change it.
This one. They do, obviously, if you go into the list on your phone, obviously the defaults are there until, like Kevin said, until you change it, which you can, most of them you can change, can't change all of them, but you can change a pretty good bit of them to whatever works for you. But just the default, because I had to kind of learn the default, they have it, separated by finger. So it just go down the list for the one finger, 2 finger, 3 finger, 4 finger. And it's not too bad to at least get the basics or get the simple understanding down. And then after that, it's just pretty much, it's up to you how you want to do it. If you want to change buttons because it's just easier for you. For some reason, me and triple tapping with 3 fingers just doesn't work. No matter how hard I try, it always comes up 2 finger tapping. So, I don't use those. So anything that I would need that would require it, I just changed it. So.
Thank you very much.
And this is Kevin, and I will say that is one of the best places to look for some of the basics. But for instance, let's say you're a Braille user, none of the Braille reading, none of the Braille screen input commands are there, or none of how to switch keyboards, and that kind of stuff is not there. Right. So you'd have to know to look somewhere else. But as far as just getting down the basics, reading continuously and stuff like that, that is all there. That's a good place to look. Unfortunately, you can't do a select all and copy those and put those in a document or anything.
Oh, that would be nice.
You sure about that? I could figure out a way to
screenshot it.
Yeah.
Well, screenshot it or JAWS, you could use.
You would have to do a say all. You'd have to do a say all and then do copy last utterance, and that would be a mess to clean up.
Exactly.
I know one of the screenshots. I can't remember what phone. It would let me scroll all the way down the list. So
Samsung.
it's incredible.
Scroll capture.
And you know what? One Plus has it too.
Okay.
Scroll all the way down.
Well, what's
And
interesting
also on
about the modern day ones, guys, is as well as extracting the text with it. So like Bixby as an assistant of Samsung, as we spoke about it earlier, it has its little toolbox. So like figuring out what an image says or extracting text and using stuff like that. One other piece that I wanted to go back to with figuring out all the gestures and talk back to what Bonnie was saying again. If the website helps you, wonderful. You might be on your Windows machine or your Mac machine trying to go over a website learning those gestures. But I think if you just use it and crash the car a bunch of times, you'll know not to crash the car anymore, so to speak. So just give it a whirl. So I'm going to hook up actually a Samsung phone right now. I could go get a Pixel phone if you really want to see what a Pixel, it's same thing roughly, but it's somewhere behind me. But let's go ahead and get the Samsung phone.
But also, Bonnie, you can also there is a tutorial practice where you can just put your phone in practice mode and do the practice gestures.
This Amazon lady, you want to teach me? I'm going to be a student now. What do I do?
I use that thing all the time.
Okay, and I think that's like 4 fingers.
It's 4-finger single tap? Wait.
Okay.
Is it single tap?
Guys, come on. We got to figure this out. This is a fun game. I like this.
Let me
game.
double check.
John, you want to take a stab at it? How many taps do you think?
4-finger single tap, and it brings you to the practice tutorial.
So I'm going to 4-finger tap.
Practice gestures. Try any talkback gesture on this screen to hear what that gesture does. Tap the screen with 2 fingers. Keep practicing by tapping. Swipe down with navigation. Swipe down with 3 fingers. Next reading control. Swipe down with 3 fingers. Next reading control.
Okay.
Button. Finish.
Okay, swipe right with 1 finger. I got to finish. I'm going to click on finish real quick.
One UI home. Apps.
I'm also going to...
Well, yeah, finish brings you out.
Right, so that took me out. But I'm going to hit the 4-finger tap again.
Practice gestures. Try any talkback gesture on this screen to hear what that gesture does. Button. Slider. Media. 73. Try any talkback.
Let's do this real
button. Finish.
Finish here.
One UI home. Characters. Words.
Rate.
Lines. Paragraphs. Headings. Controls. Links. Windows. Default. Speech rate. Speech rate 130%. Speech rate 118%. Speech rate 107%.
Okay, we'll leave it at 100%. So now we'll try it out again.
Talkback menu.
Wrong
Action.
one. 4 fingers.
One UI home.
One
Apps.
time on the
Out
screen.
of list. Practice gestures. Try any talkback gesture on this screen to hear what that gesture does. Tap the screen with 2 fingers. Keep practicing by tapping once, twice, or 3 times with 2, 3, or 4 fingers. You can also double tap and hold with 2, 3, or 4 fingers.
So...
That's really good.
You have it right built in. I'm going to finish again one more time, and I'm going to turn on one more thing just so that way it helps all of us hear
copy last spoken. Read from next
what it sounds
copy
like.
last sound feedback on.
While you're doing
sound
that real
feedback
quick,
on.
it's a really good thing when you're learning to use the gestures, because I pretty much didn't want to use Talkback because of all the gestures. I'm just like, wow, this is just too much. But if you just sit it's overwhelming. So if you just sit and play with it, really, you get a good feel for it. And then once you get a good handle, then you're like, you know what? I want, 2-finger hold to do this. And I want, your triple tap to be this. And then that helps it to become more customizable for you and what you need, especially if you don't use half the gestures. There's a lot of gestures I didn't even use, but I'm actually starting to put them back because I find myself needing to use them.
Try any talkback gesture on this screen to hear what that gesture does. Tap the screen
let's make it shush because it's practicing. So I just put 2 fingers on the screen.
Pause or resume speech.
It told me what it does. It pauses and resumes speech. Now, I'll take 1 finger, swipe right.
Button, finish.
That goes to finish. I'll swipe right again. Nothing happens.
Try any talkback gesture on this button, finish.
So swiping with 1 finger
practice gestures
helps you move from one element, or at least go to the finish screen. We'll take 2 fingers now and touch the screen.
Tap with 2 fingers, pause or resume speech.
So that pauses, resumes speech. If I tap with two fingers twice...
Double tap with 2 fingers, play or pause media.
It tells you what it does. I'm going to do that 3 times with 2 fingers.
Double tap with 2 fingers, play or pause media.
Okay, it didn't really do anything. Let me try that again.
Triple tap with 2 fingers. Read from next item.
Okay, so it does do something, right? It tells you, it reads something from the next item. So if you're down on a website and you're reading a paragraph, you could triple tap with 2 fingers, go and do all of that.
I wonder how similar these are to VoiceOver.
Very. They're very. And that's why I really want to allude to the commands. Remember the commands thing that I mentioned on I know iPhones, but not really in depth. I'll leave that to Maria and Sandhya and some of the others on our buzz call. But so let's just, we talked about something. Let's just come out of this real quick. I'm going to go to finish.
Button. Finish.
And I'm going to take you to what we call customized gestures, which is similar to command. So to get there, I need to go to a Talkback menu. So on an iOS device, you use 2 fingers to turn the knob on the rotor, and you can get to different places. And Talkback menu is, I'm trying to think of what you would call it, but it's like a list of items you could add, where the rotor is like swiping 3 fingers up or down. So
characters.
That's characters. Words.
Lines.
Right.
Paragraphs. Headings.
These are all controls, but I'm using 3 fingers as swiping up and down or left or whatever works easiest. But if you swipe up, it works. If you swipe down, it works. Swipe left or swipe right, it works with 3 fingers. I could at least say if I want to look at different windows, I could then use 1 finger, swipe up or down, go to different parts of the window.
9:18 p.m.
Okay.
Apps. Window 1. Default.
And
speech rate.
You could change the speech rate. So
speech rate
I have that as part
90,
of my controls.
Speech rate 110. Speech rate 121%.
Let's keep it at 121, a little bit faster.
Default.
And so
apps screen.
I'm going to hit with 3 fingers.
Folder,
I'm tapping on the screen.
Microsoft folder. Talkback menu.
So I hear Talkback menu. Now that I hear Talkback menu, I'm looking for Talkback settings, which is typically at the end of the screen. So I could just start off towards the bottom of the screen, touch something.
Sound feedback on.
And swipe right till I...
Hide screen. Braille Talkback settings. Showing items 6 to 14 of
Talkback settings. Now I'm looking for customized gestures. So I'm going to swipe right with 1 finger.
Talkback settings. New features in talk audio. Head text to speech. 3 of 17. Verbosity. 4 of 17. Sound and vibration. Controls. Heading. Customize focus. Customize gestures. Customize menus. Customize
right
gestures.
There,
8 of 17.
But let's just see what else is there.
9 of 17.
You can customize your menu. So that Talkback menu, if something may, like the speech turning sound on and off is easier to leave it there, toggle it on and off there. If you want to keep show or hide screen in your Talkback menu, keep it in there. It's whatever is easier to you. You could have it all stacked in your Talkback menu, or you could keep your Talkback menu super small and agile as you need it. And I'm going to go to Customize Gestures.
Customize Gestures, 8 of 17.
To go there, I swipe left once, and I'm going to double tap with 1 finger.
Customize Gestures button. Navigate up.
Okay, so now in the Customize Gestures, I can swipe right.
Customize Gestures. Practice Gestures, 1 of 51.
I practiced that gestures earlier, items. Right? That's that 4-finger tap. That's set to that gesture. That's why it did that as a default.
Reset gesture settings, 2 of 50. Practice gestures, 1 of 51.
That's a practice. Well, I just swipe right and left just to see. If I would have took 4 fingers and double tapped on the screen, it would have took me to a tutorial of how to use Talkback. So that's one place to at least learn Talkback and then have a scratch pad to practice the gestures. But here in the customized gestures, it's similar to commands where you could at least look at what all the 1-finger gestures do, 2 fingers, 3 fingers. So nice. If you're trying to navigate through, let's say, through headings, let's go ahead and use 3 fingers like I talked about earlier. I'm going to take 3 fingers, swipe up or down until I hear headings.
Speech rate.
Okay, not that.
Audio ducking.
Not that.
Accessibility volume. Characters. Words. Showing lines. Paragraphs. Headings.
Okay, I hear headings now. Now I could take 1 finger, swipe up or down.
1 finger. Heading. 3 of 51.
That's the 1-finger heading that I want. I could stop by, check it out.
1 finger back and forth. Heading. 8 of 51.
There's
showing items 6 to 12 of 15. 1 finger angle. Heading. 13 of 51.
Okay, the angle, so
showing
swiping
12 to 18 of 51.
left and then down, I said earlier. That's that angle gesture, or swiping down and left, or swiping up and right and swiping up and left. We'll come back to that. I'll do 1 finger down again.
2 fingers. Heading.
2 fingers. So anything that has to deal with the 2 fingers you can study.
No next heading. Tap with 2 fingers. Pause or resume speech. No next heading.
Okay, I
Triple
don't know
tap
why
and hold
it
with
doesn't
2
want
fingers.
to...
Turn 3 fingers.
Okay, there it
Heading
goes.
32 of 51.
So 3
Show
finger
items 31 to
gestures.
36 of 51. No next heading. Double tap and hold 4 fingers. Heading 43 of
4
51.
fingers.
Show
And then
no next heading. Open tutorial.
That's a wrap.
45 of
So
51.
if I were to
Showing items 45.
if I were to change something in the gestures as we change for customization, that is going to appear in the training area. So if you again tapped with 4 fingers once on your screen, you will find that same gesture set. So if you change play pause to swipe up and here, let's do that. Let's try it out. I'm gonna go to my home screen. So I'm gonna go from the bottom of the screen, swipe up with 2 fingers.
Home screen page 1 of 3.
I'm in the home screen.
Weather and
I'm going to go back to that tutorial thingy.
Practice gestures. Try any talkback gesture on
now,
the screen.
What does swiping up and going left
with
do?
2 fingers. Tap with 2 fingers. Pause or resume speech.
But swiping up and then left, what does it do?
Swipe up then left. Play or pause media.
I like that better because it's 1 finger. It's almost like turning a knob. It's super easy just to flick up and left. What does swiping up and right do?
Swipe up and right. Focus on first item on screen.
So you all use first and last on the iOS side. You could set swiping up and right as first.
Swipe up and right. Focus
and
on
then
first
you could
item
use
on screen. Swipe down. Move navigation focus. Swipe down then up. Next reading. Swipe down then right. Copy last spoken phrase.
You could do swipe down and right as a last. I did it as copy last spoken phrase. So Kevin mentioned that earlier. How can I copy or capture anything that I hear? JAWS, you use speech history. NVDA, whatever they call it, but similar to capturing whatever it heard, the screen reader heard. Talkback, if you swipe over anything, any article, any link, etc., and you want to capture that information, I could essentially just go to
swipe down then right, copy last spoken
and
phrase.
do that, and I'll copy that last spoken phrase. So again, that's a customized gesture I set to that. This is not the default gestures. I could reset them. If you'd like me, I could go do that, but it's not a big deal changing them back and forth for me. It makes it just easier, so I'm not using 2 and 3 and 4 fingers to do things. 1 finger helps me play pause. I have MS, so sometimes my fingers don't always act the way they want to act. So it really helps with the way usability works on both phones, iOS, Android, whichever. And if you want to make it where it's very similar to what you find on iOS, go for it. You just change the first and last to like as if you were going on the first and last of the screen or top and bottom of the screen. Aside from that, I'm not sure there are that many differences, to be honest.
Wow.
And sometimes with Facebook apps, it's Facebook's fault more than it's Apple's or Google's fault. With Talkback, they don't update certain parts, and then they're broken. So that's just one problematic app that we'll just chalk it up as an L right now.
Clickable. Sorry.
But more questions, Bonnie, please. That was a great question, and I hope that little tutorial
appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Okay, everybody, we're at the last 5 minutes of the call, so we have time for 1 to 2 more questions. So I hear Gail has a question.
Okay. Hey, Gail. Happy New Year.
Is that her, Gail?
No?
Yes. See, that's what happens when I interrupt.
You're fine. Anybody else have questions, thoughts, and?
Hello. This is Danny, and I just got I got a 9A Plus from Samsung for Christmas, and I'm still trying to learn how to use it. A question I have: whenever I push the power or the side buttons, I can't get the Talkback to turn on or off. And I know when you go in the settings, and there's 2, I think, check boxes or whatever. And I've checked them, but whenever I push it, I keep getting the power thing, that shuts off the device completely.
Okay, and you mentioned that was a 9A?
Yeah, 9A Plus.
Is that a tablet?
Yeah.
Okay, so Samsung tablet, the A series tablet, and the 9th version of that. One thing that I could suggest to try, and I think this is more universal, as we were alluding to earlier, but no worries. Try holding down the volume up and the volume down buttons for 3 to 5 seconds and see if you hear anything or any vibrations from the haptics of the device.
When I hit the up and down button, I keep getting the music volume.
And do you already have? So you already have this set up, right? Would that be correct?
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin. Anybody else want to throw some insight that you guys got?
This is Quentin.
Go ahead.
Okay, so it is a bit finicky.
Right.
When you have to press and hold both keys on a phone, for instance, like my Fold, the buttons are a little easier. I can just press the middle of the keys, but I know on the tablet, I have a Samsung Tab S8 Plus, so the first button is the side key, and then the two buttons following is the volume up, volume down.
This just has one.
Just has the one?
It has one long button, and there's a button on top which turns on and off your screen.
Right.
And then at the bottom, then there's this long big one.
The long
big one. Hold the top and the bottom half of the long big one. That is more than likely your volume, whereas your top is already.
That's the side. Yeah, that's the one that turns your screen off.
That's where it's tricky because you, in a sense, kind of have to hit it in the middle. When you do try to hit both, you get the problem you're having where it's messing with the volume because of that.
It's the music volume, and then but I got it to work one time, and I hit the very top, the top button. First set it up, and the button that you turn on and off your screen. Well, it turned on and off Talkback, but now I haven't been able to get it to do it again.
Right. It's because of the button. It's the way that the button is. It's more of a rocker instead of two separate actual buttons that So you kind of have to get in the middle and find the little sweet spot. That's usually with those. One of my old phones was like that. To where I had to change using that.
Yeah, because I don't want to hit the bottom, screen and turn Talkback off and then not get it back on. I've had that.
Right.
Trouble twice because you don't know when you.
And that's generally when I started using, for Samsung, it's Bixby. I don't use Bixby for
but at least you get the stuff turned on, right?
But I use it for on-device stuff, so calls and
things
things like that, because it's just easier.
And that's something else I've noticed. I don't have Bixby on mine.
Yeah, because it's 9 series, and that's the effect of some of the cheaper devices.
And
Kevin, you had some last-minute insight there that you wanted to.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest. I do with Samsung. It's like you have to do it 3 or 4 times successfully to train it. But I would also go into the accessibility settings and make sure that you only have Talkback checked and only choose one of the gestures. So if you're going to go with the volume up and volume down, which is the official Android way, but make sure you only have Talkback checked. And disable the volume up and the power key. Don't have that assigned to anything.
Right.
Okay, so I got to go in there and disable those.
Yeah, make sure that nothing else is. Then see how successful you are. Then you can start adding and assigning other things.
All right.
And those shortcuts really help because, like I said, Samsung adds a couple extra this, that, and then you could really figure out and isolate what's really going on.
Great.
Okay, everybody. We are at 8:30, and I'm going to wrap up this half of the call. So just know Happy New Year's. Don't forget the movie on Friday. And our next meeting is going to be February 19th, the third Wednesday in February, okay? We're going to end the recording, and y'all can continue on. Hershey, you're going to do that?
I can definitely do that and still continue on the same way as we're doing.
Just continue on as we're doing.